Eventually, going back to my career, I was invited to become the deputy principal of the campus. And the deputy principal is like the deputy vice chancellor in South Africa,
Okay.
or executive vice president in the US. And that was a huge shift. And from what I was accustomed to, working in gender studies, you work primarily among women, a very democratic kind of state. You have debates, you have disagreements, but a very kind of democratic kind of structure. And also, I was accustomed to a very activist one. And going into that position as the only female in a very masculine senior management system, I think it was really difficult for me for a long time, and also for my colleague, because at the same time I became deputy principal on my campus, my other colleague, Eugene Barrett, who became deputy principal on her campus. So it was a very different experience going into senior management of a university. I learned a lot. As someone said, sometimes you learn things you wish you didn't have to know. It really broadened my experience, but I maintain links with the Institute, which I continue today. But I think that was another area in which I sought to try to influence what was happening to sociology on the campus and what was happening to gender studies as well. And even now that I'm no longer in that position, I've been working a lot with sociology. We recently had an academic writing workshop, which was extremely successful. So I continue to work with sociology and with gender studies, to see how we could strengthen these two areas that can sometimes be under threat.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question based on what you said about how difficult it was being in this senior management space. Also because it continues to be a question we are grappling with even today as women, and as you have more and more young women entering into positions of senior management. How did you actually navigate that kind of space and create the voice, take up space, to use the words of Zozindini?
Well, what can I say? I think the first thing you have to do in those places are to get allies who can advise you. In other words, when we as academics enter those spaces, we enter from a totally different space. But there are women who have been at senior administration for many decades, and they can really help you go through the ropes, because understanding those university systems, that's another lesson in themselves.
Yeah.
And I also found was that the understanding of the social was very much missing from these senior management systems. In fact, in my case, nearly all the senior managers, their background was engineering. Nearly every single one of them. All of them, in fact, a few of them had done other things, like I think the registrar was not an engineer, but a few of them had done other things, like gone on to do like HR or something else after. But they were basically engineers. And part of my responsibility was for student development. And it was really difficult for me to justify expenditure related to student development, student enrichment, student support services. It was really, really a fight. And I just had to keep at it and keep persisting and keep insisting. And by the time I left, I was able to leave with a division for student services and development. And I think that vision, the way in which I worked in those whole areas had to do with my sociological understanding, my understanding about people and their needs, about the complexities, strengthening the developmental programs, financial support systems, systems for the students with disabilities, support for LGBTI students, strengthening the counseling services. All of these were very applied things. In fact, I used to say, I didn't want to do social work, and here I am, ending up doing those kinds.
In a
but at the end,
bureaucratic fashion.
yes, but in the end, I was able to leave a number of structures and programs that have survived, although it's very difficult in the current economic climate, a climate where many people don't understand the importance of the social, and you still have to fight for its recognition and support.